So first, I want to give again a shkayach, as always, to Rabbi Nachmani and the Mishpacha, Shiur, Zeichen Nishmas, his father, Rabbi Avinoam ben Chaim, his neshama Gdalya, from Simcha and Bra.
Amen.
Also the Parnes HaShana, לעילוי Nishmas of Rabbi Gdalya ben Shimon, the neshama Gdalya. We shall only hear good things. Shvat is Shmuz b'Servis Taivus. We should hear b'Servis Taivus. The Shiur last week was the first part of probably this week and then the next one, 3 Shiurim, to try to understand the Avodah, more in Pnimius, the Avodah of Shavavim. And just to review, we began last week talking about the original takana of Shavavim, which of course is not found anywhere not in Chumash, not in Nach, and not in the Gemara. In the Rishonim, it does appear by the Chachmei Ashkenaz. We spoke about the Chuvas Adeshin and the whole Beis Medrash of the Chachmei Ashkenaz, and we saw something very, very remarkable, that the Levush, it's brought down in the Levush that that during this time of Shana Mu'abaris, particularly in a leap year, in a Shana Mu'abaris, there are many Jewish women who would miscarry. And there's the tikkun for this is during the weeks of Shavavim, which began on Shabbos, the parasha of Vayirbu, Vayishutzu, and so on, the Vayifru, Vayirbu, and so, to have children. And according to that, this avoda, this tikkun of Shavavim, with all the fasting and all the Tehillim, it's dafka for a leap year. So it's like this year Shavavim Tan. And we have also Truma Tetzaveh. But the Arizal, is not focused on that, but the Arizal saw this as a time of Tikkun HaBris. The avoda of Tikkun HaBris, Kedushas HaBris. And we need to try to understand the connection between these two. That's Aleph. We spoke about Yitzias Mitzrayim as a process of birth. Chazal speak about that a great deal, and we learned about the Maharal, how birth is a talich during which the tzura, the essence of the person, the neshama, is concealed, is hidden, and wants to be able to come out b'poal together with the chomer, with the guf. And later, birth means that connection between the tzura and the chomer, the spiritual and the physical. And by Yitzias Mitzrayim, which is a kachas like goy, mikarev goy, which we saw from Chazal, is compared to birth. So Paro is that koach that stands there in the way to try to prevent the hisgalus of the tzura, the revelation of the tzura in a healthy way with the chomer, with the body, with the physical. That's the inyan of Paro, and therefore we learn that the Ramban and other Rishonim all tell us, and we see this ourselves when we just read Chumash, that and all of our davening, that Yitzias Mitzrayim is the yesod of our emunah. That belief and connecting to and remembering Yitzias Mitzrayim is the yesod of emunah, because Yitzias Mitzrayim means the ability of the tzura, of the essence of the neshama, to overcome that shlita, that power of Paro that's trying to prevent Am Yisrael and the individual to get to Kabbalas Torah and to be able to have a healthy balance between tzura and chomer, between the spiritual and the physical within him. And we spoke about the machlokes in Chazal, in the Gemara, in Rosh Hashanah, between Rabbi and Yeshua. When was the world created? Was it created in Tishrei? Was it created in Nisan? And we learned that according to the Rizal, based upon Rabbeinu Tam, according to the Rizal, it's not really a machlokes. It's by Tishrei is the time of Olam b'machshava, of Hirayom. Hayom haras olam. It's pregnancy. It's the inyan of that surah, the thought, the surah, the essence. Until that is able to be able to fully emerge together with the physical world. That would only take place in Nisan. Therefore, during the winter, the earth is pregnant. That's what we were talking about last week. The seeds have been planted, and the earth during the winter is the world is pregnant, is expecting the outburst of life in the spring in Nisan, and the world needs to overcome the darkness and the coldness of Paro of the winter that's trying to prevent that birth of the world once again in Nisan. And this is something that goes on in the life of every person. That's all of this is really Maharal. We've been talking about Maharal, and of course it's good to see inside. Oh, Gurus Hashem is this Nakuda. But now we're up to Yosef Hayib and Mitzrayim. This is Chaburah Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef Hayib and Mitzrayim. Golus, we just read about yesterday, we just learned yesterday, that the matzav of Golus is a matzav of Vayoker Melech Chodesh Mitzrayim Asher Lo Yodas Yosef. Which Golus is a matzav that is called Asher Lo Yodas Yosef. That's Golus. That's how it was back then, thousands of years ago, and that's how it is for us right now. When a person lives a life that's called Asher Lo Yodas Yosef, he's in Golus. And Am Yisrael experienced that terrible Golus of Asher Lo Yodas Vayoker Melech Chodesh Asher Lo Yodas Yosef, who did not know Yosef, and therefore the Torah tells us that the only way that Geula could take place was Vayikach Moshe Atzmos Yosef Imo. We could not leave Mitzrayim without Atzmus Yosef. Now we were zeich yesterday to learn a little bit about the meaning of the word Atzmus, right? Atzmus. Atzmus means the etzem. It means not just the bones, but it means the etzem. It means Atzmo, Atzmacha. It means who the person Betzim is. So the Torah says, V'yikach Moshe Atzmus Yosef Imo, ki hashbeya hishbiyas b'nei Yisrael lemor, because Yosef HaTzadik caused us hishbeya hishbiyah, take a shvur, and said, Pakod yivkar lokim eschem. Again, the Lashon Pekida was the Shabbos before, it was Vayichi. Pakod yivkar lokim eschem, v'hailisem es atzmosai mizeh itchem. And you must carry my bones, / you must carry my essence, who I am, you must carry it with you when you leave Mitzrayim. Which means that it's impossible for Bnei Yisrael to leave Mitzrayim without Yosef HaTzadik. And so it is with each and every one of us in our own lives. It's impossible for me or you to leave Mitzrayim without Yosef. It's not possible. Therefore, these weeks of Golus Mitzrayim and Yetzias Mitzrayim, all the Tikkunim of Shovim have to do with Atzmus Yosef. Now, we need to understand what that means. Why is it that we could not leave without Yosef? Now, Yosef, we spoke about this a number of years ago, that Yosef is called the Mashbir. Yosef is the Mashbir, and Mashbir means, from the word shever, food, sustain. He's the one who is Mashbir. Yosef is the Mashbir. The Mashbir is the one who provides food, which is what Yosef HaTzadik did when he was in Mitzrayim. He sustained. He gave life to the world, to that part of the world. He was the Mashbir to the Shiftei Kot, to the Shvatim, and to the world. And the Torah describes this midah of Yosef in a very remarkable way. It says in the Torah, "Vayichalkel Yosef es aviv ve'es echav." In other words, Vayichalkel. It's an interesting word. We're very familiar with it. We say it every single Shemoneh Esrei, right? Mechalkel chayim b'chesed. In modern day Hebrew, the economy is called what? Kalkala. Kalkala. With a chaf. If it's with a kuf, it's not so good. Right? But it's called kalkala. So it says in Pasuk, Vayichalkel Yosef es aviv. It's a fantastic word. Vayichalkel Yosef es aviv ves echav ves kol beis aviv lechem lefi hataf. That we'll just use the word supported or financed, just the pshat. His father and his brothers and all of his father's house, lechem lefi hataf, where the food, lechem is food, bread, the food was distributed, was given lefi hataf, according to the exact number of children. In other words, it was distributed in an equitable way, where everybody received exactly what he needed. Every single member of the household received exactly what he needed. So the Mefarshim talk about this word vayichalkel. And it has a number of different shirashim. You could hear in the word vayichalkel. You could hear the word kol twice. Kol, vayichalkel. And the midah of tzaddik, of course, is kol b'shamayim of haaretz. The midah of tzaddik is chaf lamed. That's the midah of tzaddik, kol. We spoke about that a number of times. So you hear the word kol. Also, you hear the word yachol or yacholas, ability. Yachol. There's also the word, which the Radak and other Mefarshim talk about, that the word, and they're all connected, all of these words, the word lahachil, lamed hey, chaf yud lamed. What does that mean? To contain, to encompass, to contain, to hold, to contain. A kli. All of these words, all the words chaf lamed, they're all the same. Every word that you find anywhere in Tanakh, chaf lamed, it's all the same yisod. So kli, a container. Lahachil means to be able to contain something. That something should be in the correct measure, and that's also the word yicholes, ability. Ability means where somebody is not given something that he cannot do, or that's too much for him. Lo yachol. Lachil. Lo yachol lahachil. He's not able to contain this. He's not able. He can't be a kli for something that's too much. Like the word vayichulu hashamayim rosh cholzon, which is the first place. Vayichulu hashamayim. So vayichulu means when something is completed, when something is finished. Vayichulu. On a deeper level means that it was in this way of creation, she'achol ha'olam litkayem. You understand? That the world can contain this light. The world can. The world's a kli to contain Hashem's light. And all of these words, kol, yachol, yecholes, lahachil, vayichulu, all of these words mean that there's a certain shafa, there's a certain bracha, there's a certain light, it could be money, or food, there's some energy. There's a certain energy, and the energy or the food or the money or whatever it is needs to be measured and distributed according to the yecholes, according to the ability of each to receive that shefa, that or, that bracha that it needs in order to exist, in order to live. According to the size and the measure of that kli, which is what is meant by the end of the pasuk, that Vayichalka Yosef, Soviv and so on, Echav, and the whole base of it, Lechem lefi hataf. Lechem lefi hataf. The Ramban writes, Nosan lehem mozon kasher yachilu. He gave food to the family, food kasher yachilu, that they would be able to contain, to have. Kasher yachilu. Lo hedif v'lo hechsir. You hear the Ramban? What does it mean, lo hedif? He didn't give too much. He didn't give more than was necessary, or that was healthy. Lo hedif v'lo hechsir. He didn't give too much, and he didn't give too little. Rak lechem lefi hataf. Lechem lefi hataf. So one of the Talmidim of the Talmidei Grubs, great tzaddik and Talmud Chacham, Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chaver, we've spoken about him over the years. He's written many svarim. So in his Sefer Ginzei Merayim, he talks about this midah of Yosef HaTzadik, Vayichalkel Yosef, this midah of kilkul, of Vayichalkel. And Rabbi Chaver writes that the midah of Yosef and the midah of Yesod is lahagbil hahashpa'ah l'midah hanachona. Lahagbil, what does it mean? To limit. Lahagbil, the word gvul, es hahashpa'ah, when you have what to give. Lahagbil es hahashpa'ah, to be mashpia, l'midah hanachona. The midah hanachona. Just a preview of where this is going, which I'm sure that your mind's already figuring this out. The inyan of Kedushas Habris is that there's a koach of life that we contain within us. The male has within him that koach of life, the zera of life, to bring life into the world. The koach of the tzaddik is lahagbil, is to see to it, lahagbil hahashpa l'midah hanachona, to be in control of that energy of life, that it should be in a way that brings life and does not destroy. The same way that we're learning that it's lechem lefi hataf. So we're watching over the past couple of decades the destruction of or not destruction is a strong word, but the damage that's done to America with all of the good intentions of a welfare state and giving people something that they're not ready to receive, nor did they work for. How that brings a churban to the world. It brings a churban. It looks nice because you're giving shefa. So you're giving shefa. So my wife was bringing me up to date. She's like that's my news, my source of news. So my wife was bringing me up to date with it, and she told me last night that the president of Harvard was resigned. You heard it. So I don't know when that happened. How I guess like this past week or something. So the of course right away. The
Jews are to
blame. This is racism.
Yeah, right.
This is racism. Now, she was. So my wife was reading to me that I remember one of the conservative chachamim said, there are chacham. I don't remember what the name was, but said that no, she was hired because of racism. That's how she got hired. She wasn't fired because of racism. She was fired because she was doing a lousy job. Because she's a plagiarist and anti-Semite. Maybe she's not anti-Semite, but she didn't know what to do with that whole anti-Semitism thing. I don't know. I'm not saying she's an anti-Semite twice. A plagiarist, she's for sure. Whether she's an anti-Semitic plagiarist, I don't know. I don't really care. She didn't belong in that position. She was hired because of racism, which is what has been happening over the past few decades, and particularly this whole what's it called, iniquity. DEI, what does it stand for? Diversity, equality, and inclusion. Oh, I thought it was equity, and inclusion. So that whole mahalach is a mahalach of, I'm going to say something very strong, pagam habris. It's all pagam habris. It comes together with pornography. It comes where the world wants there to be that there should be a certain shefa, and people who are good people and want to be mashpia, we'll say it in the nicest way, want to be mashpia. I have life to give. You need life. I have life to give. Kach et zeh. The problem is, this one's not a kli. La'achil et zeh. So when you're mashchis, the zera, it means that you want to give life, you have an urge to give life, you have a need to express this energy of life, but it's not the midah nechona. It's not the right amount, it's not the right time, it's not the right place, it's not the right kli kibble to receive such life, such energy. That's called gamma bris. So Rabbi Isaac Chaver is telling us that the midah of Yesod, of the tzaddik, is lahagbil hashpa lefi midah hanechayna. Lahagbil hashpa. Yosef's midah is vayichalkel Yosef. The midah of kol is that the tzaddik has control over all of the hashpa. Tzaddik Yesod Omer. It's the midah of Yesod. Kili ki kol b'shamayim uvaretz. The tzaddik has such koiches. A parent has tremendous koiches. This compared to a little kid, you can give the kid much more than the kid's getting. So you have the 5-year-old or the 6-year-old, and he wants to have he wants to have a smartphone, and he wants to have TikTok and Facebook or whatever. He's a little kid, and the parent can afford it, and the parent can give the kid, but the parent has to be mechalkel chayim b'chesed. He has to be mechalkel chayim. It has to be with a cheshbon to be mechalkel lahagbil hashpa l'mida hanechayna. In other words, when something is b'koach and you want to bring it out b'poal, to activate, to bring it out in the b'poal, it has to be in the right midah. Vayichulu. Vayichulu means adkan. Adkan. Now, of the names by which Hashem is referred to in Tanakh, and it's the very, very beginning. This is too easy a hint, but it's the beginning of the parsha. There's a particular name. I'll give you another hint. By every single mezuzah, Shin Daled Yud. That name Shin Daled Yud, which is the first pasuk in Vayir. That name Shin Daled Yud, Chazal tell us, means Anihu Sh'amarti La'olam Dai. Shin Daled Yud is a remarkable name. Ani, who I am the one, Shamarti La'olam or La'olami, they're different uses. Die. I said enough. I said to my world, die. Must speak. So the Ramchal writes in Das Tunis, Chavav, and this is of course a very, very big yesod in the Kisvei Hari, that Me'etzem Habriya, the energy, the light of the infinite one of creation would go on bli gvul. Were Hashem to unleash his light without restraint, his life and his light, were Hashem to release that shefa without restraint, it not only would not give life to anything, nothing could exist. Nothing could possibly exist. The world would be misrachev and misrachev bli gvul. It would go on, bli gvul. Therefore, in order to give mitzias, in order to give life to reality that Hashem wanted to the world and all worlds, he had to divide his light lechem lefi hataf. So the bug receives a certain amount of parnasa, its life, and the cat, and the tree, and the person, and this person, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, everything, the or of Hashem is lechem lefi hataf, according to the measure of what the world could receive, because Hashem had a specific tachlis in mind. Tachlis is also from the same word. Tachlis has the word in it, kli. Kli, tachlis has the word in it, yecholas. Objective, tachlis is the objective, the goal, can only be met when there is the yecholas of the kli to receive that shefa. That's the word tachlis. That's the word tachlis. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is all, of course, in the Zohar Kodesh and the Kisvei Hari, in order to create all worlds, Hashem Yisbarach had to say to his own infinite light, die. Shin Daled Yud, Sha'omar, Anihu Sha'amarti La'olam, die. I created the world in such a way. Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world where there's no, I'm saying again, I'm only borrowing the phrase, there's no Zera Levatol, you understand? There's no waste. Hashem created the world in such a way where his Shefa was, as Hashem is the Tzaddik, and Hashem is Mashpia, and created all worlds in such a way of Shin Daled Yud, Anihu Shamati Lalami Dai. And the Zohar Kodesh explains this as in terms of the human being, as the midah that we call histapkus. What's the midah of histapkus? So when a person knows when to say, "Die," I speak. When you're eating, to know when to say, "I had enough to eat. I'm not hungry." In other words, this midah of Hashem, all of Hashem's midas, it's our job to try to emulate Hashem's midas. The midah of Hashem is Shin Daled Yud. The tzaddik, the inyan of the tzaddik is that the tzaddik lives every single moment of his life with that cheshbon of Anihu Shamati La'olami Dai. It's the midah of histapkus. It's the midah of self-control. That you feel like saying something, just because you feel like being mashpia, a certain sentence or a certain paragraph, or in the case of other people, a whole book, you feel like being mashpia because you have this thing that you want to say. The midah of Shin Daled Yud, of the tzaddik, of Yosef, is l'chalkel dvorav. L'chalkel diburim. It means to distribute words. Lachem lefi hataf. You're careful how you speak. We learned that there's a connection between the bris milah, and the bris haloshon. There's a very big connection between the individual who has problems controlling his words, controlling what he says and how much he says. It's very much connected to controlling the bris, meaning bris milah. It's the same sugya. Bris haloshen, bris hamor, it's the same sugya. It's l'chalkel dvorav. It's to be able to say to that urge that he has, die. And to measure the hashpah, that the hashpah should be in the right way. In the right way. The tzaddik is a person that lives in such a way where there are no words that are stam spoken. There are no words that are chinam. There's no spilling of words. There's no spilling of words, just like there's no spilling of the zera. There's no spilling. There's nothing that's chinam. There's nothing that's stam, that just goes nowhere. Words that go nowhere. Words that go nowhere. Life, the energy of life, which comes from speech, and the zera of a person, which is the zera of life, the koch of life. But the tzaddik, there's no such thing that it goes nowhere. Chinam. He's mechalkel, chayim bechesed. And that avoda of the tzaddik is called shmiras habris. That's called shmiras habris. Shmiras hashefa. Shmiras habrocha. That's what it means. We're talking a little bit about this by the new shiur we just started learning this past Thursday. From Rabbi Nachman, we started to learn the Sefer Meshivas Nefesh, and in the Hagdama we were learning about this, how there's something that's called Hisorus or Musa, and with Hisorus and Musa, a person is trying to awaken somebody, to get somebody going, to motivate somebody, right? With Hisorus and with Musa, to awaken somebody, to change his behavior and so on. And there's something else that's called chizik. And chizik means that you're trying to help the person hold on to what he has. to be able to absorb and to connect to what he has. Chizuk. And what we were talking a little bit about, we're going to talk much more in that Shiur, is in the language of Ishbitz and Radzin. This is the mitzvah Prika and Te'ina. We spoke about this many years ago once by Shal Shudas, a long time ago. There's a piece in the Beis Yaakov on the mitzvah of Prika and Te'ina, which is helping. You see another Jew, and he needs to help to put stuff on the animal, or to take the stuff off the animal, right? So it's a mitzvah of Prika and Te'ina. And the Beis Yaakov over there talks about that in terms of our Avodas Hashem, and he says the following. He says sometimes you'll see a Jew that's empty of Yiddishkeit. He's empty; he doesn't have. So the mitzvah of that person is Te'ina, which is to try to load him up, to try to give him more, because he's empty. He's not alive. So as a good person, a teacher, a Rabbi, whatever, the mitzvah of Te'ina says, when you see that there's a Jew, and this Jew needs help to load up his animal, meaning to load him up with life, so that's called the mitzvah of Te'ina. But then the Beis Yaakov says, sometimes you'll see a Jew that you davka have to help him unload. What does that mean? Does it mean to teach him not to keep mitzvahs? The first person, you have to tell him, your mamisha, an empty kli of nothing, and you have to give him some musar and his sayros. What's the matter with you? You're wasting your whole life. You're nobody. You're nothing. I'm not saying you say those words. Why? He's a great guy.
No, he just said it to me.
Oh. So you're mamish or nothing. So you want to load this guy up, and you're telling him there was a garnish, and I'm coming to you and I'm giving you something you could have for your life. I'm giving you life. Take it. I'm giving you life. So that's called Hisairis, that's called Musa. I want to give you life. Then sometimes you meet a person that was so overloaded by his parents or his rebellion that he's dying from the life that's burdening him. So the first person you give Musa and you tell him, it's not going this, you're going to go to Gehenna. Right? You're nothing. You're nothing. What's the matter with you? I don't say we should use these to burn. I'm just making the point. But you're nothing. It's garnished. And then to the other person you say things like, I want you to know I'm so proud of you. You went to Mincha once this month. I'm so proud of you. So you get the other part. So you have somebody that has heard you in both, has heard you as the Bal Musa, and has heard you as coming like the Kedushas Levi. He's heard you as like in these two ways, and he says, he comes to you and he says, I don't understand. The other person, I heard you yelling at him to start going this, and that other person, by the way, I see that he goes to daven. He goes to daven 4 times a week. He goes to daven. The other one goes to daven once a month. My brother, right? Doesn't get angry. The other one goes to daven once a month, and you tell him, Phew, I'm so proud of you. It's gewaldig what you did. You davened. You went to shul one day this month. It was hard, and you did it. You overcame that. So the one who's watching this says, what's the yaisha in this? Make up your mind. 3 days a week, once a month. Why is the 3-day week guy, he's no good, and the 1 day a month guy, he's gewaldig? So the answer is shaita. This person who went 3 days to daven, he's in a place lechem lefi hataf that I know that he's able to daven 7 days a week, and he's playing games, and therefore I'm yelling at him. What's wrong with you? I have to be him because he can contain more. There's so much more. They have to be careful because we make mistakes, right? But the great Rabbi, the great parent says, I know that he can contain more. And since he can contain more, the avoda of Te'ina is putting more stuff on him and not letting him get away with murder. He could carry more weight. He's not carrying his weight. So the mitzvah there is the mitzvah of Te'ina. More light and more life, and to mashpia more. to bring them with talk to them about she'ifas and you're stagnating, and to give them all the strong dibur. You're going 3 days a week to shul. What's the matter with you? Something's wrong with you. Why aren't you going every day of the week? What's the matter with you? The other kid, there's a mitzvah of prika. Prika means take off from him something, not telling him not to keep mitzvahs. It means this person needs chizik because he's not handling it. Because it could be that there's some good intentioned people that gave him the light that was not lefi hatav. You understand? He broke from it. He wasn't the kli to receive the light that you wanted to give him. And because of that, he's messed up. There was a gam habris that took place in your relationship with this kid, and this kid can't bear it. So that second kid, you have to say to him, you went to shul this month. I know that that's mamish hard for you. And I want to tell you something. It's a gewaldige Sache. It's a gewaldige Sache. I remember many years ago when I was teaching boys in high school. This goes back 40 years. I was teaching boys in high school, and then the principal is he's already, we're very close. He's already kind of on in the years. I mean, so am I, but he's ahead a little bit. He's ahead. So he was a master. He still is. He still goes in a few times a week. He's a master mechanic. And there was a mice that happened in the hallway that he pulled over some bacher, and he gave him $10, and he said, go to Union Turnpike, which is across the street, go to Union Turnpike, get yourself a haircut. What are you walking like a chaya? Get a haircut. What do you think this is? So the bacher says to him in the hallway, the bacher points to another boy. I remember the other boy's name was Adam. I haven't seen him in a long time. I don't know Adam where he is, but he points to Adam, and he says, but Rabbi, look at Adam. Because Adam had hair down to here. And this bacher that got the $10 to go get a haircut, he had a little bit long, but it wasn't like Adam. So Rabbi Felix's response was, get to the barber shop or I'll throw you out of school and start telling me some nice with him. Now, I watched all of this, and I walked together with the rabbi into the office and we were talking about it. And he said to me, I'm going to talk to the kid later if he gets the haircut. He's got to get a haircut now. He starts giving me an argument. You get a haircut. I'll talk to him later on. This other boy, Adam, Rabbi said to me, his father ditched him when he was 8 years old. Understand? There's no father. The mother's an alcoholic. He pretty much takes care of himself. It's not about money. He has this Indian with hair, which I saw in him, that's something that it's important to him. Yeah. A side note to this is that like a week after that, I was in the building very, very late because I had a lot of phone calls. I was busy with something, preparing something, and I was leaving. I just stopped off and I looked into the office where the rabbi was sitting, and I saw that he was sitting with that boy Adam. They were playing chess together. It was 3 hours after school. So he was playing chess. In other words, he had an avodah with that kid. Had to work with him. Lechem lefi hatav. You need a haircut? This boy, leave him alone. Don't tell him anything about his hair. It's his Indian. You're going to try? If I tell Adam, go get a haircut, it's not lefi hatav. It wouldn't be mechalkel him. It would destroy him. It would destroy him. Then you have the parents who are destroying their children because they're giving the kid more than he should get. The same way as less. So there's a mitzvah of prika and te'ina, which means, the Beis Yaakov from Mishba says, which means to have the wisdom to know when to put on and when to take off. That's the greatest wisdom in the world. For a parent to daven for, a Rebbe to daven for. Which kid and how much? How? L'chalkel what's the yicholos of this kid? And it's especially hard when you, listen, as parents, we're having a hard time. You have a kid or two or three or four of you blessed with a family. But if you're a Rebbe and you got 27 kids in the class or something, it's very, very, very hard. It's very hard to have a sense of what's the yicholos of that boy, and what is or that girl, and what's the lechem lefi hataf. What's the lechem lefi hataf? When I was teaching, there were kids that I did not give the bechinas to. I didn't give them bechinas to. I gave them. I would talk to them privately. And I gave them papers, and I said, "Write whatever you like. You can write a letter to your girlfriend. I don't care. You write whatever you want. Make believe you're taking the bechina. Don't take. It's not for you, the bechina." And I would talk to the boy. We would talk about. I would try to discuss with him some things that we were learning in the Gemara. I would talk to him about the Gemara and try to go over some basic points in the Gemara. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to give him a thing. And he's going to write that paper. And he's going to put his name on it. And I'm going to mark the paper. And he's going to say on it 25. As was. That's going to make him into a Jew. That's going to make him into a Jew. But on the other hand, there's a bacher that he gives me back the Gemara test. And I marked the Gemara test. And I said, "What's the matter with you? You got a 78. It's a bizarre for you, a 78. You didn't chaz the Gemara. You didn't chaz the Gemara. You could do much better than that." And you have to daven you're not making a mistake. Because it's dinei nefashis. Dinei nefashis, plain and pashut. Dinei nefashis. When you're a Rebbe in the classroom, it's dinei nefashis. With adults, it's not the same because you don't want to come. You don't come. It makes you, this person is hacking you is crazy, so you don't come. You go to some other shiur. But when you have the kids in there and they're your hostages in your class for that year, and you're the Rebbe, it's mamish in the fashes. It's lechem lefi hataf. But this kid to write on his test, and even the kid gives back, it's a shvache test, he didn't do so well, and to write all kinds of nice things there, and I remember I was zeicher to, I was zeicher to sit by my Rebbe, was Rabbi Lifshitz, I was very close to him, and he gave a very high level shiur. And there were some bochum that were in the shiur that it wasn't lefi. They shouldn't have been in that shiur. Probably the fathers pushed him and they wanted to be in the higher shiur. That happens, in institutions. So there were a few shvache bochum. There were like 2 or 3 bochum that they weren't keeping up with Rabbi David's shiur. Actually, one of them is a rabbi now someplace. So, but it's not about him. It's about Reb David. Reb David, this bacher would make some sort of ha'ara in the shiur, and like we guys can be pretty cruel. So like we looked at each other like, what is that? And Reb David would say, "Rabbi Kivega sagt das. Rabbi Kivega," and we go, "Rabbi Kivega says." And then Reb David would begin to say a whole thing. And this guy's sitting there like, I guess maybe that's why I became a rabbi. I don't know. Maybe that's why I became a rabbi. I never wanted to be. So Reb David made this into Rabbi Kivega's thing, a kasha from Rabbi Kivega. It wasn't anything that this guy said. You understand? Reb David did such a magic trick. He took like one word out of that guy's sentence, which made no sense at all. It was ridiculous what this guy was saying. Reb David said, he look at the rest of it, he said, "Shamatem," because Shamatem, Rabbi Kivega's kasha. And Rabbi Kivega's kasha. And Reb David somehow made it into Rabbi Kivega's kasha. He made such a thing into Rabbi Kivega. And he said, "Zaya, good." Rabbi Kivega's kasha. And not only that, he'll call up the father at home. Mm-hmm. And said, "You should know, your son said a kasha, Rabbi Kivega's a kasha." Well, you know what that is, a Rabbi? He has a feeling, mashu yachol, mashu lo yachol, and how to bring him into a place where he can carry the foot. It's the whole measure of a parent and of a Rebbe, is the midah of Yosef HaTzadik. Is that midah of Vayechalkel Yosef. Vayechalkel Yosef is according to the midah to be able to say, La'olami dai. In his own life to say, I had enough to eat. I shouldn't be looking there. That's not my place. I shouldn't be talking in this place. I shouldn't be talking to that person. To say die. When you're giving over Yiddishkeit to your child, to know which child, for that child, lefi hataf, die. Must be. For this kid, this is enough. The other kid, he gets a bigger portion. He gets a bigger portion because he can handle that portion. That's the midah of tzaddik yisrael, midah of Yosef HaTzadik. Now, we can continue with the next year, that we can't leave Mitzrayim without Yosef HaTzadik. Which we can't bring about a healthy fusion of Chomer and Surah, of the soul and the body, unless that person is able to live with this way of Yosef HaTzadik, to know how much he himself can handle, and how much, and what's the nature of that relationship between the guf and the neshama. It's all the midah of Yosef HaTzadik. You can't leave Mitzrayim. You can't get out of the control of Paro without Yosef. Paro is shoyleit. Paro holds the tzur from being able to fuse together with the chomer, with the guf, in a healthy way. That's Paro. And you can't get out of that world of Mitzrayim, of the Meitzar, without Yosef HaTzadik. And how that works and why that is, as Hashem, we'll continue next time.